I mean, all the possession that Arsenal had, I've got to disagree with Mikel Arteta saying the fact that they played better than last year. I mean, you won 5-1. I mean, you obviously get a result, draw today in the last few minutes. But for me, it was a completely lacklustre game for Arsenal in the first half, particularly. It really was. It was not Arsenal we're used to. And it was really a bit of a surprise, the lineup as well. Which surprised a few people. But you have all these options and there's attacking threat and you don't utilise it.
When you say that the lineup surprises you, are you talking about that midfield balance? Are you talking about Eze being on the bench?
Yeah, for me, when you sign a player like Eze, the game changers, we just call them, or however you want to call these guys, fans want to see these players play. They want to play in these big games. They want to see people actually be able to take risks. And I feel like in these games, if you want to get results, you have to be able to take those risks. And at this moment in time, Arsenal aren't doing that. I was just disappointed in Eze's part, actually, not to actually play, to be honest, in the starting lineup. And I think, obviously, it changed in half-time, didn't it, bring them on. OK, from a Manchester City point of view, just on the stats, the 32.8% possession that City had is the lowest figure that any Pep Guardiola team has recorded in any of his 601 top-flight matches. Was that needs must because of the week they've had, because of players coming back from injury, because of the opposition?
Probably a bit of everything. I think the 5-1 as well last year, I think that's probably fresh in Pep's mind as well. Arsenal are a strong force. They're one of the favourites for the title. Maybe he's thought away from home. If we get a point, it's a decent result. But I think Pep will be going up the road today disappointed. To concede a 93rd minute equaliser. Yes, they had possession, but I don't like this word dominated. Arteta mentioned it. Declan Rice mentioned it a couple of times in the interview after. I don't think he dominated possession, but my interpretation of domination is shots on goal, keeper making loads of saves, blocks, hitting the post. He didn't do that. He didn't create that many chances.
So they didn't dominate for you?
Not in my opinion, no.
OK,
right. Didn't dominate.
No, we're agreeing on that.
Let's go back to that first half then, that you were talking about, and a lack of intensity. Why?
Well, for me, obviously, Arsenal had a lot more time to prepare for this game.
Because they played Tuesday, City played Thursday.
And when I say lack of intensity, it was more the fact that these players were out of sync and the options weren't available to the likes of Saliba. In past, obviously, Declan Rice would make a move, but there was no options, and the easy options to come outside and go and recycle the ball. But they were going long quite often that led to nothing. And this was a general pattern. And the flow of Arsenal, the first touch, Gyökeres, not quite happening from today. Again, it was more on the fact it was a bit sloppy. And Gabriel here, we'd be a bit calm in these circumstances. And again, it's just more the rhythm that felt nervous today for Arsenal watching them. The easy option here for Raya is to go out to Saliba and Rice, but when I talk about habits, they played like they didn't know each other today. That was the side of it, going long to Timber. It's not often it happens. Rice calm on the ball. Plenty of options again. He goes long to Madueke. How often do we see Madueke get the ball in this height? We never see this. So for me, this was the difference in the first half. Little things like this, poor decision making. The energy wasn't there, and just the final pass here. When you look at to make the difference, this was the disappointing for me. When I'm talking about dominate, for me that wasn't in the first half.
Does that partly come? I know I'm going back to the midfield thing, and Mikel Arteta was quite defensive about that afterwards. He said nobody criticised the midfield in Bilbao, and it was the same midfield. Yeah. In the Premier League, Rice and Marino, when they've started together in midfield, they've only won one of the 10 Premier League games that they've featured. Is it a defensive midfield that's the problem there?
Well, I think there's a number of players that like to play that position. I think Marino isn't at number 10. I'd like to see maybe someone like Eze up there who's going to be a bit more creative. We've got some similar players, and when you have a number of players that are left-footers as well, Marino and Zubimendi are very similar in that sense. So for me, at times, they get in each other's way. And I think the balance isn't right for me in that position.
If you have Gyökeres there as well, are they having to learn as a team how to go long to him?
I think so. Look, he's a player who likes to go into space, but clearly there wasn't much space to go into today. And they're not playing to his strengths in the big games when Arsenal actually have all the possession. I don't think it really actually gives Gyökeres his main gifts. It's not about possession. He's more about a counter-attacking player for me.
Theo Walcott didn't hold back after Arsenal's 1-1 draw with Manchester City, blasting the Gunners for what he saw as a lackluster and sloppy display. Speaking with real frustration, the former Arsenal forward questioned the team's focus and urgency, insisting that standards must be higher if they want to compete with City at the very top. His brutally honest reaction summed up the anger many fans felt, with Walcott demanding more intensity and sharper decision-making from Arteta's men. The Match of the Day panel echoed the heated debate, breaking down key moments from the clash. While Arsenal snatched a late equaliser, the analysis suggested they had been second best for large spells, allowing City too much control in midfield. The pundits highlighted missed opportunities and careless errors that nearly cost Arsenal dearly. Still, the spirited fight back at the end left a sense of resilience, though the consensus was clear: performances like this won't be enough if Arsenal truly want to dethrone City.